Also been very active over the last years in preparing for the eclipse, Dr. Angela Speck, Preparing a Nation for the Eclipse of a Generation.
And I have to stand here, right? I don't have a choice.
You have a microphone for her?
It's not showing. How do I make it show? Oh. Ah, there we are. Okay, so. Hello. I don't like being behind a podium, and also I can see from here. Just like Alex was talking about, there are a large number of people have been involved with planning for the eclipse. Unlike Alex, I'm not a solar astronomer. I study stardust, but my house was on the path of totality, and I'm a professor at a university that was right in the middle of the path, and so it was an obvious thing for me to be working on. But the AAS basically convened a task force that was chaired jointly by myself and Shadia, who is in the audience. And then we had a whole bunch of other people. You've already heard about Rick. For those of you who don't know, Rick Feinberg is the press officer for the AAS, but he's also an eclipse chaser. And he was just amazing throughout the process. Many of the people that you can see listed here are actually in the audience and speaking today. But this was, as Alex was saying, this was pulling together a whole group of people for us to be able to plan for this eclipse and work on things that you might not otherwise think about. Now, tech is not my friend today. Let's see what happens if we go that way. There we go. Okay, so I'm sure you all know what the path of the eclipse was. My question is, how many of you saw some part of the eclipse on August 21st? Yay! How many of you saw totality? Okay, how many of you were in the path of totality and didn't see it? I'm sorry. Okay, but some of the things that we were trying to deal with the eclipse, the mission of the AAS is largely about helping the public understand what astronomy is, why this is so important. And so this was such a great opportunity for us to really engage the public. But there were aspects of this that were difficult. On the one hand, we want as many people as possible to be in the path of totality. Those of you that have seen it know the difference between being at 100% and being just outside the path. And one of the things we were trying to emphasize to people is that, a 99% eclipse, 99% obscuration is not the same as 99% totality. It's kind of a binary system. So that was one of the things we were trying to push. But at the same time, we wanted to be inclusive and get everybody who was anywhere in the country to be able to see this safely. And so our job was to do multiple different things. So this task force was put together with an eye to, basically getting out the information that was needed for the eclipse. And, oh, tech, please work. No, there we go. All right, like I said, you actually saw a list of the members. We also had other people come from outside to help us with pieces of this. And we collaborated strongly with people from NASA and had people from NASA on the task force so that we could really pull things together. Our membership included people like professionals who are medics because we needed to interface with optometrists, ophthalmologists, and the medical community. But we were also needed to interface with various government agencies, either at the state or local or federal level. People don't really think about it, but I did a lot of talking to people from emergency management agencies and state parks and departments of transport and all these things that we're not trained to do. But that was part of what we were trying to do. And basically we were trying to make sure we brought as much expertise as possible so that it would be a successful day, so that people would get to see this and come away feeling good about astronomy and the experience that they had. So one of the things we got was some funding, which is nice. So the NSF provided $300,000. Now that was actually pulled from different budgets, so it wasn't just from the astronomy budget, it was also from, the Solar Division is within the Geo rather than the math section, and also from education funds. But part of that, and then we also got money given to us from AAS funds. And there were several things that we did. A lot of it was planning things like workshops along the path. So over the course of about 4 years, there were 5 workshops. The large part of organizing those was Shadia, who is a solar astronomer. But we were trying to engage with people and get people ready for this. We also put together a website, which is still available right now, which includes a lot of the safety information, but also some of the same things that you saw from Alex with places that you could go, you could put your events on there, you could get advice on all sorts of things. We also had a mini grants program. We were asked by the NSF to provide small grants up to about $5,000 so that they didn't have to. And so we did that, and then we did a lot of, promoting, just getting people out there. So for the mini grants program, we basically were looking at funding somewhere between 20 and 50, up to about $5,000, and we were really aiming at, it didn't have to be on the path of totality, because obviously everywhere in the country people got to see something. But we were really aiming at underrepresented groups so that we could maybe bring in some people who would normally not get engaged with astronomy. And we actually had 150 proposals, 50 of them got thrown out straight away, 100 of them were then judged, and we managed to fund 31 of them. And here you can see where they were located geographically. You can see they're largely on the path, but they're also, and the density follows the population density. And then there's some just a little off the path. But I think we managed to fund a lot of different things and bring in people to doing solar eclipse activities that otherwise wouldn't have happened. Okay, so you saw this map before, and I just want to touch on something very briefly, which is that it's very hard to graphically represent everything. And what this is just trying to show you is, you've got a map like this, and this is just the NASA one, which is great. We had all sorts of different maps, but you're trying to present something that's showing you just how amazing it's going to be. And you can't do it on this scale, so you want to show that fabulous corona, and you can't do it. And that was a lot of the work that we had to do, was trying to get people to get how amazing it was going to be in totality, whilst not discouraging people who were off the path. Now, I'm almost out of time, so, and since Alex already talked about safety, I can ignore that. I really like this. This is, one of those things where people are like, well, I'm not sure that this is really that cool. I mean, I've seen the partial eclipse, or, does it really make that much difference? And then you see it, and it's like, so, I live on the path, right? And I was basically the face of the eclipse for Missouri. And I can't walk through town without people walking up to me going, oh, that was amazing! Even at this point, several months later. So I think we did a great job of getting the information out there. We're working on writing up reports so that for the coming eclipses in 2023 and 2024, there will be, sorry, I'm just going to skip over a couple of slides. Oh, I do have to share that one. Some people did look at it without the glasses. But there's an annular eclipse in 2023, and then the next total solar eclipse, which obviously doesn't like me. Come back. No, it's done. But we will be providing reports so that people who are on that path can prepare for it. And we have so many materials that between NASA and the AAS, we have so many materials, you're not going to need to reinvent the wheel. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, I do like that XKCD cartoon, and there was this supermoon that we don't like to talk about. I think it was Alex who suggested that a couple of days ago we had a super sun. We had perihelion on the 4th of January. So if we called it super sun, maybe we could make something out of it. Alex, next year. We have time for one question.
That was it.
That says the timer is done.
Not that scary.
Sorry, one question? Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, so first of all, thank you for providing all of the information that you did, and especially the partnership with Google. For those of us who planned ahead, it was so great to have so many eclipse glasses to give out, even in partial where we were. My question is, for 2023 and 2024, how are you going to work more effectively with departments of transportation so that exiting traffic is not as backed up as it was? It took me 3 hours to drive to my viewing location and 11 and a half to drive back.
That's a really good question, and some of that is actually where we need your help. So, for instance, Missouri did not have those problems, but Illinois did. And, you know, in Missouri, it's my job. I work for the big state university. I was the one who went and talked to the relevant people. But there weren't necessarily people in my position all the way along the path that could go in person to talk to those. So I think to some extent, we can take that Missouri was super well prepared as a way of thinking about, okay, this is what I did. So people in Indiana and in Texas and so on, and it goes through Missouri again, so, you know, yay. So I think that that's something that I will be trying to do, is to try and help people to be going to their departments of transport. I think the difference will be this time that it's within recent memory for those states to be able to go, oh yeah, especially like Carbondale, you know, they already had to deal with it. So I think it'll be easier to sell to those agencies. When I first started talking about it, I got a lot of disbelief. They eventually believed me. But I think that that's the sort of thing where I need to engage all of you and get that on board.
Thank you very much. Angela, Dr. Speck.